Right now at 9, a Joplin officer shoots a suspect after that person assaulted another police officer. We'll tell you what happened. Plus, the Joplin Major Crash Team is investigating a serious crash near the airport. Also, a shooting at a car show in Arkansas leaves one person dead and dozens injured. And
the desperate exodus from Ukraine shows no sign of letting up. I'm Greg Palka in Lviv, Ukraine. All that story coming up.
You're watching the KOAM News at 9, and it starts right now. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Chris Warner. Breaking overnight, a Joplin police officer is assaulted by a suspect, and another officer opens fire, injuring that suspect. According to Captain Trevor Duncan with Joplin Police Department, just before 11:30 last night, officers were checking on 3 people who were walking near 9th and Connor in the alley. When officers made contact, one of the people took off running and an officer chased after them. That person then assaulted the officer and another officer fired, shooting the suspect. Suspect was taken into custody and is being treated at a local hospital. The officer who fired is on paid administrative leave per JPD policy. Suspect's name and that officer's name are not being released at this time. The officer who was assaulted was treated and released at the scene. Their name is also not being released. Joplin Police Department's Major Crash Team is investigating a serious crash near the Joplin Airport. Officials say around 3 this morning, a car traveling west on MacArthur Drive out of Webb City left the right side of the road and crashed into the concrete base of a traffic signal at St. Louis and Highway 171. The driver of the car, a 50-year-old woman, was transported to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Officials say she was not wearing her seatbelt. There were no other people in the car. A shooting at a car show in Arkansas has left one person dead and dozens others injured. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has the story.
Authorities say this is still under investigation as they look for potential suspects. Right now, one person is in custody, but Arkansas State Police officials are looking for more. The mass shooting happened in New Moss, Arkansas, in the southeastern part of the state, just before 7:30 p.m. local time at a car show Saturday evening. People were seen running from the multiple gunshots. Witnesses say chaos ensued. One person was killed. 24 were wounded in serious condition, including children. This happened in the center of town. The car show was run by a nonprofit group called the Hoodnick Foundation. The 16th annual Hoodnick Car Show included other activities that included a parade. It's held each spring to raise funds for scholarships and school supplies. This event was aimed at promoting nonviolence. Arkansas State Police detectives are investigating the ambush with help from federal partners. The search for potential suspects continues, and police are looking for more information. If you have information, you can remain anonymous. David Spunt, Fox News.
Turning back to 4-state weather, it was an absolutely gorgeous day out there. We have Nick Kelly to thank for this one.
Yeah, not bad to kick off the first day of spring today, Chris. We had quite a bit of a cold start this morning, though. In fact, 36 at Joplin Regional. Everybody else had to make do with temperatures in the mid to upper 30s, maybe some lower 40s this morning. But look at how fast we catapulted to 78 degrees at Joplin Regional this afternoon. That was a warm afternoon we all enjoyed, and hopefully everybody did manage to, because the increasing clouds we see coming at us from the west, that's ahead of our next cold front, ready to shake things up in a big way as we go into tomorrow. First, during the rest of the night and into Monday morning, clouds will be on the increase. We're dry, but with the increasing clouds and the south wind, I see us only dropping back to about 53 to start the morning out. And then all this extra moisture gets pulled in throughout the late morning hours and certainly into the afternoon. So, Chris, let's be ready for rain and thunderstorm chances ramping back up tomorrow with highs this time around in the lower to middle 60s. We'll see what else lies beyond our increasing rain chances Monday coming up.
All right, Nick, thank you. Well, today was a beautiful day to drag yourself down to the Mocan Dragway. Mocan held their 10th annual Hot Rod Reunion and Swap Meet. Around 150 cars lined up to race and make their way to the top.
Today we're running our spring Hot Rod Reunion. It's a nostalgia drag race, car show, and swap meet. We do one of these in the spring and one in the fall. They're very popular here at Mocan.
Mocan opened in in 1962, and will be having a special race in July to celebrate their 60th anniversary. Tommy Hawks hosted its second fundraiser for Seneca High School seniors. Parents put together this event to raise money for Project Graduation. Along with an axe throwing competition, there was a silent auction, cornhole competition, and boxed lunches. All proceeds will go toward the night of graduation for the Seneca seniors to enjoy one last time together before they leave high school.
What we're raising money for is Project Graduation, which is an event that's held the evening after the day of graduation in the evening, and it's to provide our kids a safe place to spend like one last night together.
As we mentioned, this is Tommy Hawk's second year to help raise money for Project Graduation. As Ukrainians do all they can to escape from their war-torn country, rescuers comb through the rubble of buildings trying to find survivors of Russian attacks. Fox News correspondent Greg Palcott has more from Lviv, Ukraine.
24 лютого 1920 року.
Listen to the words of the Kremlin. They use the terminology of the Nazi Party. So it's a tragedy that they wanted to exterminate all Europe. They did not want to spare any one of you.
Ukrainian President Zelensky calling on Israel to take a stronger stand against Russia and comparing the Russian invasion of his country to the actions of Nazi Germany. This as Ukrainian refugees continue to flee as Russian forces ramp up their attack against Ukraine. Refugees in Moldova joining a Sunday church service. Many stating they were praying for peace, hoping they will soon be able to go home. In Poland this weekend, thousands of refugees lined up outside Warsaw's National Stadium, waiting to register for their Polish ID cards. The cards will allow refugees to look for work and use the Polish healthcare and education systems.
We are new here and don't know how it's working. We just looking. We need to adapt to new life.
Meanwhile, a Polish-Belarusian family living in Ireland has taken 11 Ukrainian refugees into their home. Robert and Valeria Kasparek have lived in Ireland for 14 years with their 3 sons. They're now hosting 6 adults and 5 children.
And they left everything, all their life, hardworking, houses, families, everything is destroyed because of one guy, Putin.
According to the UN, more than 3 million refugees have fled this country since the start of Russia's war in Ukraine more than 3 weeks ago. In Lviv, Ukraine, Greg Palcott, Fox News.
And we take this time now to honor one of our many four-state heroes. Harry Stevens served in the Air Force from 1951 to 1955. His hometown, Monette. And we're proud to recognize Harry Stevens, tonight's four-state hero. And remember, to learn more about other heroes or to nominate one of your own at any time, you can do that at KOAMNewsNow.com. After the forecast, a protein found in a common enemy of humans and animals could soon be used for medical treatment.
Not only do we have a great first day of spring, we had a pretty warm first day of the spring season. Let's look back at the numbers over the past 36 hours. We thankfully trended mild once again yesterday with highs at least into the mid-60s. Some of you even pushed into the upper 60s yesterday. Some of us turned a bit cold, upper 30s to lower 40s this morning, but look at how much warmer we got throughout the course of the day, pushing into the upper 70s in Joplin Regional. Everybody had a nice, warm, and quiet end of the weekend, but we did have red flag warnings earlier because, in addition to the warmth, it was windy with that south wind in play and dry with the dry air mass in place. But all that's going to change because even though we don't have anything to track on the radar network right now, the Skywatch Storm Tracker is picking up on increasing clouds, certainly coming in from the west, hinting at our next storm system, as advertised, ready to shake things up as we go into the start of the new work week and maybe the school week for some of the kiddos. And for some of you, hopefully you can make the most of your spring break around here because we got quite a bit of rain chances to put up with. 62 in Joplin with a south-southeasterly breeze at 10 at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Humidity still rather low at 35%. Everybody's mainly in the lower to middle 60s. At the top of the 9 o'clock hour, and that south wind, it's still in place and still kind of up there, sustained out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour, and certainly some more windy conditions in place for tomorrow as well as our next storm system rolls on in. You can kind of pick up on it before I plot any of the surface match features because you can clearly see a sharp south wind working across the western parts of Texas, eastern New Mexico. That's actually a little dry line out ahead of the main front itself. This is the one that was just coming on shore in the Pacific Northwest the other day. For us, though, we had, thankfully, area high pressure to keep us quiet, warm, and windy. Then upstairs, we've got a couple upper level lows working across the North American continent, but is this upper level low over in Arizona? That's the one that's going to really start to drive in our rain chances, but at the very least, we can keep things dry for the rest of tonight and to get your Monday morning started, but definitely plan on the clouds increasing and only allowing temperatures to drop back into the lower 50s to start your Monday morning out. Once we get past 10, 11 o'clock, and certainly as we come close to the noon hour tomorrow, that's when we'll see some scattered showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms popping up. Early afternoon highs in the mid-60s for most of you. Then the rain really opens up and lets loose as temperatures take another bit of a dip, with temperatures by about 4 o'clock dropping back to about 60 degrees. The rain and thunderstorm chances, nothing severe though, continues throughout Monday night. We'll get a little break Tuesday morning, and then we'll see if we can get some additional thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon, with highs only topping out in the, let's say, lower to middle 60s. So with this first few days of rain chances alone, we're all figuring to pick up maybe an inch to almost 2 inches of rain. Then we got to deal with the backside of this system, because we're going to turn quite a bit cooler as the colder air gets pulled in. And maybe a couple of instances where enough cold air comes in where, along with the rain chances, we might see a few snowflakes try to mix in. I still don't see this as a big deal, but something we'll still watch closely over the next few days. Then the system's out of here and we are looking good and dry and thankfully mild again for much of the upcoming weekend. 65 tomorrow, 63 Tuesday, then lower to middle 40s Wednesday and Thursday with morning lows in the mid 30s. Finally then, Chris, we're back in the mid-60s on Friday, near 60 on Saturday, and lower 60s Sunday.
Nick, thank you. Coming up, Disney shutting down some parks. Nick, thank you. Coming up, Disney shutting down some parks in Shanghai due to COVID. Welcome back. A protein found in a common enemy of humans and animals, it could become a part of chronic pain and itch relief treatments. Researchers in a university in England say a protein in the saliva of the brown ear tick could prevent histamines in the body from activating, resulting in reduced chronic pain and itching responses, as it doesn't enter the brain, making it less likely to be addictive. Now, potentially becoming an opioid replacement, possible uses could be for back issues, arthritis, psoriasis, and other conditions. Disney says its Shanghai Disneyland, Disneytown, and Wishing Star Park in Shanghai will be temporarily closed effective Monday because of the surge of COVID cases in China. China is now dealing with its biggest wave of COVID cases since it contained the initial outbreak in Wuhan 2 years ago. Officials with Disney say the company is monitoring the pandemic situation and consulting local authorities. They say guests will be notified when there's a confirmed date for the resumption of operations. Shanghai has also shut schools and has begun a citywide COVID testing program. Just this month, more than 19,000 COVID cases have been reported in China. A popular skin moisturizer is being recalled because it may contain a harmful bacteria. The FDA is asking consumers to check their 3-ounce and 10-ounce bottles of Jergens Ultra Healing Moisturizer. It's possible the bottles are contaminated with a bacteria called Pluralbacter that could cause infections in people with weakened immune systems. And Jergens products that are part of the recall have a lock code on the back or the bottom of the bottle. It starts with the letters ZU. Manufacturer Cal USA is working to remove the product from warehouses and asking retailers to pull it from their shelves. Consumers seeking information or a refund should call toll-free 1-800-742-8798. 2 new CDC studies showed COVID vaccines remained highly effective even during the Omicron surge. The studies released Friday shows vaccines still protected well against hospitalization, ventilation, and death from COVID-19 infection. At the peak of the Omicron variant, data showed unvaccinated adults were 12 times more likely to be hospitalized than adults who had received both vaccinations and the booster. For people who received 3 vaccine doses, including the booster, efficacy was 95% for the Delta variant and 94% for Omicron. Research also showed a disparity among African Americans who were less likely to be vaccinated and more likely to be hospitalized with the Omicron variant. The CDC says the studies show the importance of staying up to date on COVID-19 vaccines, including booster doses for those who are eligible. Still ahead, another online ordering service adding a fuel surcharge in orders because of increasing gas prices. Instacart joins Uber with a fuel surcharge in orders because of increasing gas prices. The company says it's adding a 40-cent temporary fuel surcharge to every grocery or food delivery order because of surging gas prices. The business says the charge is done to help its associates shoppers who pick up orders in stores for customers and to whom these fees will go directly. They say it will mark the expense on the order before it's completed. Uber Eats has also added a temporary surcharge to its deliveries. Well, as we all hope, the coronavirus seems to be on the way out and social dating is on the way back, with new app approaches paving the way. Dating apps are building new ways for singles to connect, while older apps often use pictures to signal attraction. Newer apps like Thursday are building matches by urgency. Thursday is a one-day-a-week only matchup. Other apps are becoming more social and people interact through shared interests such as video, audio, and gaming experiences. One app encourages a team approach as well, with teams of people deciding to engage in other teams and then meetings and matches happen. Well, some credit reporting agencies are removing certain medical debt information for consumers. Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion say they will eliminate about 70% of medical collection debt data from consumer reports. Paid medical collection debt and medical debt under $500 will be removed. Unpaid medical debt won't show on reports for a year. The agencies say they want to help Americans focus on wellness, especially when it comes to medical expenses. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau says 43 million credit reports showed $88 billion in medical debt as of June 21st. Russia threatens to take action against a popular Google video company. Russian regulators are demanding Google stop what it calls as threats against citizens on YouTube. They say the platform is running ads calling for Russian and Belarus railway communication systems to be suspended. Google has removed one ad flagged by the Russian government, which says the ads are a form of terrorism. YouTube has blocked Russian state media globally, while some politicians say the streaming platform might face the same restrictions as Instagram and Facebook. We're going to wrap up this half hour of the News at 9 with something that you may not know about today. Well, spring brings more than warmer weather, but possible wedding bells. The new season comes alongside National Proposal Day. Today, those eager to ask or those ready to answer the question can certainly do it quickly. Here are some helpful hints to get it done. I like these. Leave a bridal magazine around. Go to bakeries and comment on some wedding cakes. Make comments about bridal attire. You can even show them some friends' engagement rings. And of course, post it on social media with the hashtag National Proposal Day. I'm not entirely certain exactly how all that works, but my wife and I met in the days of MySpace, and we had to meet in person in Carthage at Dollar Tree. Now you know how it all happened, and I don't know how she's put up with me for all these years. We've got 30 more minutes of news, weather, and sports coming your way. Up first, a car drives into a crowd in Belgium preparing for a carnival parade. And a newspaper reporter in Virginia is killed in a shooting outside a bar. Welcome back. Carnival performers preparing for a parade in Belgium were hit by a car Sunday morning. So far, 6 people have died and at least 10 others were injured after the car drove through the carnival troupe. A man with the carnival troupe who survived the incident said, quote, "We saw bodies flying everywhere. It was horrible." According to authorities, they don't believe it to be a terror attack. The 2 people in the car have been detained by police. A newspaper in Virginia discovers one of its reporters was shot dead when they tried to reach her to cover the shooting. It happened Saturday morning outside Chico's Pizza backstage in Norfolk. Reporter Sierra Jenkins was one of 2 people killed. The Virginian Pilot newspaper repeatedly tried to reach Jenkins to cover the shooting, but they were unable to do so. Bartenders say the shooting happened as customers were leaving following last call. Norfolk police have not said whether they've identified any suspects. Jenkins and a second person who was killed, Devin Harris, were both 25 years old. 3 other people were injured. Dallas police are investigating a drive-by shooting that left 1 person dead and 10 injured early Sunday. Investigators say the shooting took place outside a party venue called The Space on the city's south side. Dallas police described it as a high school-style party involving a number of young people. The youngest victim was reported to be 14. One person working security at the venue believes the suspects became angry when they were not allowed to bring weapons inside. Dallas police say it's still an active investigation and won't say if they have suspects or made any arrests at this time. 3 people were injured in a shooting just after midnight Sunday on Miami Beach's Ocean Drive. Mitch Novick, the owner of the Sherbrooke Hotel in South Beach, captured this video of the spring break crowd reacting to gunfire. Novick says the streets were crowded with spring break tourists when the shots rang out. While many were running from the gunfire, Novick says he witnessed heroism by police officers who ran toward it. Later, Novick says he witnessed officers surrounding a male suspect with guns drawn. Miami Beach police have not said whether the suspect was connected to the shooting or if he was taken into custody. President Biden back at the White House after spending the weekend in Delaware. He's preparing to head to Brussels later this week for a NATO summit on the war in Ukraine. Fox News correspondent Mark Meredith has more from the White House.
President Biden is back at the White House after spending his weekend in Delaware. It's a big week ahead for the president. He'll be making his foreign trip to Brussels. Could be one of the most important trips he's had since taking office. The president did not stop to speak with reporters when he got back, but Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president will be using this trip to rally the world in support of Ukraine, but that as of now, there are no plans for the president himself to visit Ukraine. It's likely the U.S. and NATO will also discuss ways to show Russia they're united and that defenses across Eastern Europe remain strong. We heard from NATO Secretary General about his expectations for this extraordinary summit earlier on Meet the Press.
And I think the meeting of all heads of state and government in NATO will provide us with yet another platform to demonstrate our unity, our support to Ukraine, but also our readiness to protect and defend all NATO allies.
But not everyone has been thrilled with the response by the U.S. and NATO so far. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell is among those urging the U.S. to reconsider efforts to send Soviet-era MiGs from Poland into Ukraine via the U.S. military.
I am perplexed as to why we couldn't get the Polish Russian MiGs into the country. The Ukrainians have plenty of pilots, know how to fly them. In those Eastern Bloc countries, they have Soviet ground-to-air systems that the Ukrainians know how to work.
But the administration is showing no signs of reconsidering Poland's offer to send in those jets. Still, the White House says they are sending a lot of resources in Ukraine, with weapon shipments ongoing ever since the war began. But Russians are continuing to speak up, saying that those same weapon shipments will be targeted by their forces. At the White House, Mark Meredith, Fox News.
Later on the news at 9, as the war in Ukraine continues, the humanitarian crisis is worsening for those fleeing the country.
Not only did we have a great first day of spring, we had a pretty warm first day of the spring season. Let's look back at the numbers over the past 36 hours. We thankfully trended mild once again yesterday with highs at least into the mid-60s. Some of you even pushed into the upper 60s yesterday. Some of us turned a bit cold, upper 30s to lower 40s this morning, but look at how much warmer we got throughout the course of the day, pushing into the upper 70s in Joplin Regional. Everybody had a nice, warm, and quiet end of the weekend, but we did have red flag warnings earlier because, in addition to the warmth, it was windy with that south wind in play and dry with the dry air mass in place. But all that's going to change because even though we don't have anything to track on the radar network right now, the Skywatch Storm Tracker is picking up on increasing clouds, certainly coming in from the west, hinting at our next storm system, as advertised, ready to shake things up as we go into the start of the new work week and maybe the school week for some of the kiddos and for some of you hopefully you can make the most of your spring break around here because we got quite a bit of rain chances to put up with. 62 in Joplin, a south-southeasterly breeze at 10 at the top of the 9 o'clock hour. Humidity still rather low at 35%. Everybody's mainly in the lower to middle 60s at the top of the 9 o'clock hour, and that south wind, it's still in place and still kind of up there, sustained out of the south at 5 to 15 miles per hour, and certainly some more windy conditions in place for tomorrow as well as our next storm system rolls on in. You can kind of pick up on it before I plot any of the surface match features because you can clearly see a sharp south wind working across the western parts of Texas, eastern New Mexico. That's actually a little dry line out ahead of the main front itself. This is the one that was just coming on shore in the Pacific Northwest the other day. For us, though, we had, thankfully, area high pressure to keep us quiet, warm, and windy. Then upstairs, we've got a couple upper level lows working across the North American continent, but is this upper level low over Arizona? That's the one that's going to really start to drive in our rain chances, but at the very least, we can keep things dry for the rest of tonight and to get your Monday morning started, but definitely plan on the clouds increasing and only allowing temperatures to drop back into the lower 50s to start your Monday morning out. Once we get past 10, 11 o'clock, and certainly as we come close to the noon hour tomorrow, that's when we'll see some scattered showers, maybe a couple thunderstorms popping up. Early afternoon highs in the mid 60s for most of you. Then the rain really opens up and lets loose as temperatures take another bit of a dip, with temperatures by about 4 o'clock dropping back to about 60 degrees. The rain and thunderstorm chances, nothing severe though, continues throughout Monday night. We'll get a little break Tuesday morning, and then we'll see if we can get some additional thunderstorms by Tuesday afternoon, with highs only topping out in the, let's say, lower to middle 60s. So with this first few days of rain chances alone, we're all figuring to pick up maybe an inch to almost 2 inches of rain. Then we got to deal with the backside of this system because we're going to turn quite a bit cooler as the colder air gets pulled in, and maybe a couple of instances where enough cold air comes in where, along with the rain chances, we might see a few snowflakes try to mix in. I still don't see this as a big deal, but something we'll still watch closely over the next few days. Then the system's out of here and we are looking good and dry and thankfully mild again for much of the upcoming weekend. 65 tomorrow, 63 Tuesday, then lower to middle 40s Wednesday and Thursday with morning lows in the mid 30s. Finally then, Chris, we're back in the mid 60s on Friday, near 60 on Saturday, and lower 60s Sunday.
Nick, thank you. Coming up, Disney shutting down some parks. Nick, thank you. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern aims to clinch the series against Washburn. Plus, Pitt State softball hosts Sioux Falls. Danny Terzer has the highlights next.
This is the Toyota Sunday Night Sports Feed. Pitt State softball is at home this weekend, hosting Minnesota State and Sioux Falls. The Gorillas beat both teams on Saturday. Today they play each team one more time. In Game 1, Pitt State gets the W 5-2 over Minnesota State. The Gorillas score all 5 runs in the 3rd inning, including a 2-run home run by Madison Zemansky. Game 2, it's Pitt State against Sioux Falls. Gorillas extend their lead in the 3rd here. Taylor Lambert hits a solo shot to right. Next batter, Josie Solano makes it back-to-back home runs for the Gorillas. Still going in the 3rd, 2-on for Madison Zemansky. She launches this out to center, 3-run home run, and her 2nd homer of the day. Gorillas lead 7-1. Later, Paxton Hayes rips one up the first baseline. That's good for an RBI double. Pitt State goes on to win 12-5. Pitt State baseball closes out a series with Northeastern today. They split the first 2 games. In the finale, this is wild. Brett Daly hits a grand slam in the top of the 9th. That's enough to force an extra inning. Gorillas add 1 more in the 10th, but Northeastern State answers in the bottom with a walk-off grand slam. 17-13, the final. Missouri Southern is in the middle of a tough series with Washburn. The Lions took Game 1 of the series in walk-off fashion on Saturday. Another win today would clinch the series for the Lions. Down 1 in the 6th, Henry Kuziak gets a hit out to right. Tyler Ferguson scores. Play not over. Kuziak going for home here. It's an inside the park home run. Lions lead 3-2. Next inning, Tragan Parker knocks one through. RBI single. Case Tucker scores. Ninth inning, not a good one for the Lions. They go through 3 pitching changes. Nobody can settle in. That's a 3-run home run for Washburn. Ichabods take a late lead, 8-4. Down to their final 2 outs here. Cole Robinson gives the Lions some hope with 2 on. He blasts his first home run of the year. It's a 1-run game, but that's how this one ends. Washburn hangs on to win 8-7. Missouri Southern wraps up action at the Fairfield Classic today. Early start time for the Lions. Southern falls to Winona State 7-1 this morning. The Lions drop game 2 as well against Concordia St. Paul 9-7. Some bright spots from game 2 though. Yasmin Vargas hits her first career home run. Josie Topai and Leighton Withers also homer in the game. The madness continues this weekend with the second round of the men's NCAA tournament underway. The number 1 seed Jayhawks blew by their first round opponent. Then on Saturday, Kansas meets Creighton in the second round. First half, Remy Martin, nice move, makes the mid-range shot. Team high 20 points off the bench for Martin. Later, Alex O'Connell throws the alley-oop to Arthur Kaluma. The foul is called. Second half, Jayhawks lead by 1. Ochai Abaji feeds David McCormick for the layup. Under 10 minutes to go here, Jalen Coleman lands, drains the 3, KU up 9, but it's not over yet. Creighton hanging on. Trey Alexander hits the long 3, 3-point game. 1 minute to play here. Abaji, huge steal. He goes all the way and slams it down on the other end. A close call, but Kansas pulls it off 79-72. The Jayhawks advance to the Sweet 16. Kansas will play 4-seeded Providence on Friday the 25th. Arkansas also played a second-round game on Saturday against New Mexico State. J.D. Notte all alone for the layup. He scores the game-high 18 points. Razorbacks up 9 at the break. Second half, Johnny McCants takes the lane, throws down the dunk. Later, McCants again gets the bucket and the foul. New Mexico State takes the lead here. 6 minutes to play, Razorbacks back on top. Devontae Davis feeds Adis Toney for the one-handed jam. Less than 30 seconds here, Jabari Rice nails the corner 3. Aggies down 2. But Chris Likes makes the free throw to ice the game. Arkansas survives, winning 53-48. So the Razorbacks have earned a spot in the Sweet 16. Next game up, it will be a tough one. Arkansas faces number 1 seeded Gonzaga on Thursday. That's a look at sports. We're back after this.
The exodus from war-torn Ukraine continues, with refugees boarding trains bound for Poland in a desperate bid to get out of their war-torn country. For those left behind, the situation is getting increasingly dire, with severe shortages of food and medicine as Russian troops pound major cities. Fox News correspondent Aisha Hosny has the latest from Poland.
Here at the train station in Przemysl, Poland, you can see there's a new wave of refugees that were just dropped off by a train, and there are mostly women, children, and the elderly. And this activity picks up late at night. We see more and more refugees coming in. A humanitarian corridor for evacuations and supply deliveries in Ukraine's Luhansk region was just opened this weekend, and it comes after days of indiscriminate attacks on eastern Ukrainian cities. But that does not necessarily mean the journey for everyone is going to be a safe one.
Some people, I will not give their names, were involved in getting information and evacuating people. They found themselves under fire. There are casualties among them, unfortunately. They were evacuating people.
For those who cannot leave, things are even worse. The UN is reporting that residents in Mariupol and Sumy are now facing potentially fatal shortages of food, water, and medicine. Meanwhile, in Odessa, officials are pleading for food for some 450,000 residents there. Stockpiles of UN aid is getting across the border into Ukraine to teams embedded inside, but aid workers are struggling mightily to reach the displaced, oftentimes taking shelter chapter with Ukrainians under constant air raids. There's been a big flurry of congressional activity here on the ground in Poland, 2 delegations, in fact, senators yesterday and House members today, who believe the fastest way to stop this humanitarian crisis is to help Ukrainians win this war.
$7 billion of lethal aid was passed by the United States Congress. The sooner that gets in the hands of the Ukrainians, the sooner the Ukrainians can win this war and end this humanitarian crisis.
From the train stations to buses, these refugees will eventually wind up at refugee centers. And just a reminder, at the beginning of this war, the UN predicted that we would reach up to 4 million Ukrainian refugees. It's been about 3 weeks now. We're almost hitting that at more than 3 million. It's only going to continue to get worse.
We're back right after this. Well, for the first time in 3 years, the famous St. Patrick's Day Parade returned to South Boston. Thousands put on the green to celebrate their tradition's return from being on hold due to the pandemic. Josh Brogadier was there.
There is pomp, especially under these circumstances, for the South Boston St. Patrick's Day Parade.
I'm so happy that COVID is finally shutting down, hopefully, and we all can get together as a community and have fun. Woo!
An hour to go and already that big energy.
I'm here for all the Italians. I'm showing support. Hey, party wicked hard!
Vendors are back out, businesses doing well. Fitting that emergency responders were the first on the route, Boston Fire out front. These are circumstances that have risen above 2 years of cancellations to go back down Broadway, the rekindling of an annual tradition.
It was honestly really sad and depressing. And it feels so good to actually be out in the open.
It's Michelle Wu's first parade as mayor of the city, her kids scooting out front as she walked by. The mayor was among about 100 groups along the abbreviated 2-mile route who this year and into the future wouldn't want to have it any other way.
You know what? Beautiful day. Sun's out, 60 degrees. Can't ask for anything more, you know?
Now, St. Patrick's Day, of course, fell on a Thursday this year. Most cities celebrated last weekend. Although Boston may have been the last, it was certainly not the least. I don't know. I don't really do much for St. Patrick's Day. I do put on green, though, because I don't like getting pinched, because that is one tradition that everybody holds up. Cameron, did you wear green? I did not. You did not. Were you pinched a lot? I was not. Okay, he was not. See, and maybe there's just something about Cameron. He just puts off a vibe. I don't know. I mean, I'd pinch him. I'm just saying, you know, you got to celebrate. Thank you so much for celebrating with us tonight. That's going to do it for us. We'll be back here next weekend. Of course, we got the KOA Morning News, Fox 14 at 7 a.m. And we'll see you again next weekend. All that good stuff. Thanks for making us part of your night.